spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. Today's episode, we've got some Jayden Daniels hype. Louis Riddick on NFL Live on ESPN dropped quite the sort of hype track, if you will, on Jayden Daniels. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Jayden Daniels in the red zone and, some of the work that still needs to be done. On the flip side, how's the defense looking? We check in with Whitt Jr., who spoke to the media for the first time in some time, detailing how it's going so far, who's helping him out. We got a new kicker. We're going to talk about the new kicker, comment mailbag, as we always do. But before we begin the episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
This is where I would typically get loud and tell you guys to do the thing that you're supposed to do. But I outsourced this time. I asked a good buddy of mine, somebody that's known in the streets of New York as far as in that 90s hip hop scene. So I'm gonna kick it over to man MCDD, and he gonna let you know what you need to do in this particular part of the pod.
Share this, share it, share the gospel of District Divided. KDot is telling you to share this. And just say no to drugs, unlike the A-Train.
Listen to MCDD. That's all I'm saying.
We run some things behind each other. Pre-prod, other things we don't. But the message remains mostly true. Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys getting out. That was awesome. Without further ado, let's just
I have one more thing I didn't share with you. I meant to share with you.
Go ahead. What else you got?
92 days!
Hey! Shout out Chris Baker. 92 days until kickoff. Hey, it's starting to be right around the corner, and thankfully the NBA Finals also started as well. And on this day, 6 years ago, happy June 7th to those that celebrate. The Washington Capitals brought home the Stanley Cup, ending quite the drought in terms of the major four sports over here in the DC area. It was nice to finally be able to celebrate that day. So now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So Jayden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick in this last draft, the 2024 NFL draft taken by our Commanders. Of course, you're all well and familiar. Louis Riddick has been hyping Jayden Daniels for quite some time. If you've been following him, if you've been following Dan Orlovsky, they've had Jayden as their number 1 quarterback in this draft, and Louis Riddick continues to hear good things about him and praise Jayden Daniels. Why don't you go ahead and take a listen to what he said on NFL Live on ESPN? Go ahead.
Look, you've seen some of the clips that the Commanders have put out there in terms of some of the throws that he has made already in OTAs, and it's spectacular. And I've had correspondence with people down there who have said, look, very rarely does the ball hit the ground. He puts the ball exactly in where it needs to be put. He can throw with touch. He can throw with velocity. He is a student of the game, and he is someone, I think most importantly, Kevin, that the players will gravitate towards already. They want to be around him. They want to be accountable to him. They want to do better for him. That's pretty damn cool. He is going to take that town by storm as everything else around him grows along with him. I have 100% confidence in that.
Look, I mean, that's obviously very, very exciting to hear. You can sell me as much hype as you want. I'm typically the one buying it. KDot's the more measured one. KDot, what did you make of Louis Riddick's comments over there on Jayden Daniels?
I almost feel like you should go first because I don't want to. If you're feeling pretty high, I don't want to deflate your balloon immediately.
Well, no, all I was going to say, KDot, is it's stuff that I honestly expected just based on all the stuff that I had seen from LSU and the transition from Arizona State to LSU. You could see the improvement in Jayden Daniels' game. You heard about the leadership traits. He's a bit more quiet, but people are gravitating towards him. So it wasn't anything that I was surprised to hear. It's also the offseason. You're going to hear a lot of really, really good things right now.
Right.
We have not played any NFL downs yet if we're Jayden Daniels. So plenty of time to go, but still encouraging. And then any video I've seen so far of Jayden throwing, you can just see how fluid the motion is, the accuracy that is there. So exciting times ahead, certainly, but that's where I'm at. I am trying to stay measured, by the way. So go ahead. It's you.
Then I'm right there with you. I mean, that's the thing is like right now we're at a particular point where it's so early on into everything that like if I'm watching the videos and you see the nice fluid motion, you see he's got a good snap off the ball, you see it looks fairly accurate from everything that I'm seeing. But once again, it's the things that I'm seeing that are being released at certain pivotal points in media, right? So it always feels as though everything's a little sanitized to some degree. I mean, you do hear every once in a while about something might have gone wrong at least a little bit, but overall, it seems as though he's at or ahead of schedule at this particular point in time. Like the things that I'm always saying, like anytime you draft a quarterback pretty early, I was expecting you never really, even if you sign like a veteran quarterback, I was probably hopeful that I'd hear more about Mariota, but I haven't heard shit about that dude.
Actually, I was searching for stuff before this on Mariota. Like, all right, cool. So we're probably hearing the same. We're not.
No, there's just nothing I'm hearing on it. So when I hear that, and then I hear like anytime the players have to talk about it, they all say pretty much the same things. It's like, yeah, this dude has come in. You can feel it. He seems special. I know that I just read something that like Tyler Biotish was talking about, and he was more measured in the sense of like they were asking him what the relationship was like between the center and quarterback. And he's like, it's something you got to work on and build every day. But it seems as though he comes from a standpoint is that Jayden's ready to do that, and he's ready and willing to do that with him. So it's like, there's nothing but green lights that I'm seeing across the board. Now, does that mean when I hear Louis Riddick talk, if I'm being completely honest, this is a dude that over the last few years, I don't know what it is exactly, but I don't hold him in the same regard that I used to. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if he was wrong about some things. I don't know if it's just his voice. I don't know what it is, but it's something about him that I'm like, take that with a grain of salt. Even though it's somebody no doubt. And it was somebody that like when during the Snyder era, when we were looking for dudes to come in and potentially take over some stuff, he was near the top of my list. But I know that there are the Jayden Daniels evangelists that have been here before the draft that are continuing to praise him. And I get that. It's just as long as I'm hearing the same positive things coming out of camp, and then we're not hearing those one or two stories that you hear from like New England about Drake May, or that you hear from these other situations, I'm good. I'm good with it. I'm hopeful that we are on the right track. I'm glad Louis Riddick said he's going to take the town by storm. Not like he's going to set the league on fire. Like this is the second coming of Mike Vick or some shit. Like measured. He's not the savior. It's all working right now.
I would love to quickly, and we'll end up doing an episode on, the rookie quarterbacks at some point and the hype around it and stuff like that, because there is a lot of hype around all of them. I will say that this is about as measured as we can be right now, just because I don't think we have actually trotted Jayden Daniels out like we would have in the past. Let's say, right? He's everywhere. He's doing everything. Every throw is perfect. Everything's amazing. So like, it's good to know that I think the media has been fairly measured over here. It is about the team as a whole.
Right.
And he's going to have his struggles. I mean, if we look at this tweet from JP Finley, who of course covers the team and has for quite some time. Here you go. Rough series for the offense of Daniels. Thrown out back of the end zone intentionally on second down, would have been picked on third on underthrown corner fade. So, I mean, it just goes to show that there are going to be struggles as well. And especially in the red zone, like for a rookie to suddenly be able to, that's the toughest part of the field, right? Like that's why it is so difficult to find quarterbacks, is because that is difficult. And, it must be noted he could not run and scramble at that time. So he has to make throws, but there are going to be some struggles. So we get the hype, we get back down to earth, we continue. All we want to see is progress this season. That's all. Go ahead, KDot.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call them struggles. Growing pains. It's just it's part of the process. Nobody comes in and is perfect. You can't be. If you are, then I don't know what the fuck is happening with the defense or anything in our training camp. Because you shouldn't. Like there should be things that you do bad that you should learn from. You're new to this. Mm-hmm. That's the way it should work. Everything I'm hearing about Jayden is just all steps in the right direction, man. Like it's I feel good about it. Like, I don't know about what you said about the media was very, very good. Like, I don't know about you. I've been online pretty much. I haven't seen a Jayden Daniels Eastern Motors commercial yet.
Not yet.
It feels like a record. Like, it feels as though on the side area there'd be 3 or 4 sons of bitches out already.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels as though they're doing what they need to do to make sure that anytime you hear the coaches talk, anytime you hear the players talk, it's very team centric. No one guy above anybody else. This is what's happening as far as the team. And that just follows along with that mission statement that we talked about was so important from the top down. I am completely content and happy and ready for the fucking season to start.
Yeah, same here. Very excited. It must be said that so today is the final day of OTAs, organized team activities. Once again, for those who did not know, some people I think get confused with optional. No, it organized is the O over there. So when you hear about, just to piggyback off of our last episode, CD Lamb not showing up, you don't just go, oh, the O is for optional. No, it's organized, and they do expect him to be there. He's not there. Just haha, Dallas. One more time.
I love the word voluntary. So you'll see voluntary if it's voluntary.
Yeah, exactly. And so what is next for the Commanders is going to be a veteran mini camp coming up. That's going to be, I think, June 11th through 13th. And the way they define veteran, because I looked it up, I was like, oh, okay. So what does that mean? It's literally just not rookie. If you have been in the league for at least one season, you are considered a veteran at this point. So we had our rookie mini camp before OTAs, or before this phase of OTAs, if you will. It's technically part of it. And now we're going to have the veteran mini camp coming up June 11th through 13th. Now, the flip side of that tweet, KDot, that JP Finley had is that, hey, maybe the defense is doing something. It could imply that the defense is doing a pretty good job so far. And once again, Dan Quinn has been brought in as head coach. He's got a defensive background, and Whitt Jr. followed him from Dallas and is now the defensive coordinator. If you remember in his intro press conference, they asked, how does he feel prepared or ready? He's like, I've been ready for this. So he is obviously excited, raring at the bit to go over here. And they asked him about the starters, who is going to start on defense. And he had this to say. Go ahead and take a listen.
We don't have 11 starters, okay? You're going to put this down, so don't ask me who's starting here. We have 17 to 18 guys. We're going to go out there. We're going to roll a deep crew and to go out there and whip people, okay? So we don't have 11 guys. We have many personnel groups, and now can they own those positions when we put them in there? So when that comes, don't ask me about who's starting, please.
Okay, first off, I just love the guy. Like, everything about, at least what he says. We saw this with Bieniemy last season, but I'd like to think this one's a bit different, just given his track record and working with Dan Quinn. We will see, of course, but I like the idea of 17 to 18 guys, and he's focused more on the profile of what we want the defense to be rather than, here are your 11, and that's that. K-Dot, what'd you think?
This is the dude that gets me to the point where I'm like, I need to rein it in. So like this,
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, and I know Dan Quinn would be that more if Dan Quinn's the defensive coordinator, I'd probably be hearing the same thing, which is what I love. Yeah. Is that there's this dude? It's just I know he's just hitting buzzwords, like he's just hitting certain buzzwords that I love. But the thing is that it feels more than buzzwords. It feels like it's the real fucking deal. So like every one of these graphics that you see is me lifting players and stuff from OTA photos, right? And every one of the graphics that we're using so far. So I had to look through hundreds of OTA photos. And what I love is how much you see the coaches interacting and being there with the guys and how animated and amped they are about everything. Like, it feels as though they are. I haven't seen a defensive culture in DC like this. I don't think ever. I mean, I maybe say Greg Williams, but that's a dirty name to say. It's just like it feels great. And the idea, the philosophy that you could go into this saying, hey, we don't have 11 starters. You can't look at it this way because of what we're going to do as far as our personnel goes. When you see all the signings that they made, when you look at the draft picks, when you see that makes me, it makes me erect. Okay. It makes me erect. So like,
I was waiting for it. I was like, is he going to say it?
It's fucking dope. Like, it's cool as shit. Like, this dude, not only does he sound like he could motivate me to try to run through a brick wall, Gus Frerotte style, like it would be I want to do that. So from a motivation standpoint, he's got it there. And the idea that he can motivate all these guys that are all good at different things and will be able to utilize them to the best of their abilities and get the best out of the defense at any given point in time. Why hasn't this been what it always is?
I mean, I think he completely resonates with the team's identity historically, right? This franchise's identity historically. And just a quick throwback to 1:43 a.m., April 27th of this year, when I said KDot, for those that follow, you know this already. For those that are new, I'm drunk on an Uber home and I'm rewatching his intro presser. So needless to say, both co-hosts here very high on Joe Whitt Jr. and what he is selling us. Well, okay, easy there, but drunk for sure. But man, I mean, it's hard not to get excited about the Joe Whitt Jr. defense and all the success he's had, even in Green Bay, being the cornerbacks coach and like, you know, the people that he's produced over there, helped produce over there. Now, we also have another clip from Joe Whitt where we're talking about various installs of the defense and maybe who's been helping him out. Go ahead and play that one, KDot.
To play with the edge and the tenacity that we want, they're in the locker room. Bobby does a great job of that. And Bobby does a great job of when I install something, and if I don't do it as clean as I should, he'll come and say, Coach, maybe gotcha, Bobby. All right, go back in there and do it. And I respect that. I take coaching from my players. I did it in Dallas, I did it in Green Bay, wherever. That's the only way you get better. All right, so we're all trying to grow and get better. So I'm not trying to say, hey, I have all the answers. As a defensive staff, we're putting this together with the players. It's our defense. It ain't my defense. It ain't Coach Green's, it's the Commander defense. All right, and we're going to get it done. So it takes all of us. And along those lines.
No, so I gotta. Sorry, we have a mistake in here.
There it is. Thank you very much. I was going to say, so it doesn't sound like it's just Joe Witt's defense. It is the Commander's defense. It is the defense. It is the collective. You've heard over and over again, aligned vision, collaboration. This is going to be collaborative. And right now, the reason you can get excited is because they are following through with exactly what they've said so far. I mean, KDot, go ahead. Mr. Night over there.
Brother, like, I've been saying this since we've been doing the podcast. When I talked about the main issue with the Ron Rivera era was the lack of communication. It's terrible when people are either afraid to say things or they just don't feel comfortable saying things. They just want to stick to their little job and not do. These dudes realize it takes a collaborative effort to hear. Do you think Eric Bieniemy would turn to a player and say, hey, you think I did this wrong? Huh? You think I did this wrong? No. Like, that's the difference now. And what would Ron do? Okay.
Like, to anything, by the way.
That's it. Or maybe you should talk to your position coach. Shuffle away. Like, it's what is it? Right. That's not something I take care of. I'm just going to talk about it in the media about you. Like this is everything. Everything. To know that Bobby Wagner, who we know have the bona fides, he has them. The motherfucker is a winner. He is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. That's the dude to follow, right? And he is complete. I've been around the league. I've seen shit. And you got a coaching staff that doesn't have egos big enough to realize I can learn from him. Mm-hmm. I can learn from that guy. That's what you want. Any collaborative effort, be it business, teams, I don't give a shit. There's nothing bad that comes from this.
Yeah. It is, again, incredibly exciting. I love the follow through that they've exhibited so far because sometimes it's easy to just say the right things. We've seen that many, many times in the NFL. We've seen it across sports. We've seen it everywhere. But to actually do it is an entirely different thing. It also must be said, right? In the NFL, you are dealing with so many egos, and it goes beyond just the 53 players on the field or the 90 or however many you have before cuts happen and things like that. There's also coaches. There are also training staff. Everyone's got one. When you are able to take that step back and go, this is bigger than me. It's about us, right? That is when you can actually get to really good places. That is the hardest part, to put your own ego aside and go, it is about us. What can we come up with together so that this is communicated properly in June, not what the fuck is happening in October. We've made that a point on this podcast many, many times. Get it right in May, get it right in June, get it right in July, so that come September, come October, you'll remember Joe Whitt, he leaves the building at the same time every single day because he's giving you 100%. If he's staying late, that means he was cheating us. He has said that. That was in his intro presser. And you can already see it taking shape right now. They are figuring out their chemistry together off the field so that it shows up on the field. I mean, fuck, no, I'm erect. God damn it. Like, this is just, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Two bros erect on a podcast.
That's all it is. It's nice and easy. And so any final thoughts before we move on to the kicker edition that we made?
Dish Nevada coming to OnlyFans. No, I'm saying no, this is it screams that from the top down, they are believing in things philosophically. It's when you see all the coaches and the front office guys being hired, what it shows you is that all these dudes are coming from all across the league to come here. And they have to strip themselves. They have to strip the ego away. It's like the Kendrick bar. I suggest some ayahuasca to strip the ego from the ground up, right? Like there is no one bigger than the team. That's what it is. And it's trying to build in even safeguards to where someone might have the bona fides or the resume to go off and do something else. And we shouldn't miss a beat. Like, that's what it is that they're building here culturally. It's a philosophical thing. And every time that anyone's ever come to Ashburn with any sort of new philosophy on how to do things, you saw their legs get chopped out from under them immediately, because it's not about that. It's about satiating the ego of that yacht-loving bitch at any given point in time. Scott McLuhan, God, I wish I remember his name. The dude that they brought in, and the first thing that he did was talk about the fact that, like, I think Brian Lafamina, hey, the ticket sales are a lie. And what do? They did everything.
Lafamina started almost raising the curtain or showing behind the curtain, going, hey, by the way, this is the actual reality. He was gone in no time, by the way.
No time. It's that kind of shit. It's even Mike Shanahan had his ego, but like, it was trying to bring down what he could from Snyder, and you can't do it. It's not a possibility. Marty Schottenheimer even thought about doing it, and they got rid of his ass, right? So, like, philosophically, from the top all the way through, when you hear Joe Whitt talk about, we don't have 11 starters, the 7-18 dudes that we got, like, that to me means they are tried and true trying to live through what it is they preach. And Lord knows we haven't had that yet.
And you know what else? And I'm just realizing this. This is actually pretty nuts. For a franchise as starved as we are to be good, to be consistently good, to draft a quarterback at 2 overall, not trot him out as the savior. You will remember he didn't show up to the draft party, stuff like that. And now I think the sentiment across fans that, are following this team pretty regularly, you are probably as excited to see the defense as you are Jayden Daniels in the offense. So you are now genuinely excited for both sides of the ball, where there's more art on the offensive side with Jayden. Can he make the throw with touch, with velocity at times? Is he going to be as, elusive as he was in college? And then on the flip side, what is our identity? Right? What are we about? How are we breaking the will of our opponents? I'm genuinely as excited about both sides of the ball as I've ever been. Seriously, we've talked about feeling like kids again, KDot. It's crazy.
No doubt. And that's the thing. I keep going. It's not built on some savior complex. It's not built on the one free agent sign to see how it is they do.
Yeah.
And maybe that guy will save everything for us, right? It's not that. I just want to see if what I'm seeing in the OTA photos is any reflection on what it's going to be on the field. What do they call it? A priapism? I think that's why you call it priapism. It's when you have an erection for longer than 4 hours, you should seek medical attention.
Oh, that's the Viagra thing where they heard. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, we did make a signing, just, to KDot's point, and maybe he will win us some games. Who knows? Going over to kicker, we have a new kicker in town, Ramiz Ahmed. And why don't you go ahead and get to know him a little bit? So, of course, he was with the Bears. He was with the Pittsburgh Maulers. Actually, that's news to me. The Packers and the Birmingham Stallions, where he does have a record for a 61-yarder. Now, KDot has a clip that he is about to show you guys, getting to know the kicker a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long week, but it was great, man. I'm just happy to get the opportunity, and you think about that moment all the time, and you visualize it, and so you're ready for it, and it felt really good. So it was a great week.
What's going through your mind as that ball snapped?
I mean, I just have my process, before every kick, you bring yourself level, and you just trust the process that you've honed in. I've honed my craft for a long time, so yeah, just my process. That's all I say.
Fantastic game tonight. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So already a pretty chill dude, has his routine, good at what he does. And then we got this clip in the locker room after that, which is also pretty cool. Go ahead. So there we are. Now, of course, the kick came against the DC defenders. You may have noticed in the clip. But, so he's already used to affecting DC hearts over here, and hopefully more positively this time around. But KDot, what do you make of the signing and any other things that you've noticed with Ramiz Ahmed?
Yes, there's one colossal thing that I noticed, but I'll get to that in 1 second.
Sure.
This dude is already an upgrade over Brandon McManus to me, just in personality. I'm sorry. I see that clip of him dancing, and I'm like, I can't wait for him to be a guest on the Tressway show. I just think that, like, from a
get him on over here.
Oh, that'd be dope as shit. I mean,
we'll reach out. We
and
will
them
reach
doing
out.
the
Our
ole
people will
like
reach out.
it's fucking the dope as shit. Like, look, he's my favorite kicker until he misses an extra point. Then I'll be cursed his fucking name because the position shouldn't exist. But as of right now, I'm loving this dude. I love that you could see his personality in there. The Brandon McManus, like, even McManus, when he was doing his like long form interview and everything, I'm like, this dude is boring as shit. This dude's not. But the thing that I've noticed the most, once again, I was poring over a lot of OTA photos. If you right now take a look, if you haven't already, I want you to notice the graphic here at the bottom of that screen. He is speaking with Bobby Wagner. That's our kicker, number 3, Mr. Ahmed. He's talking to Bobby Wagner. Most of the photos of him in the OTAs were him next to Bobby Wagner, which showed me 2 things. Number 1, Bobby, he is taking command. I know that's corny as shit, but he has. He's getting to know the new guys. He's getting familiar with them, all that jazz. But the second part that I noticed on that was that Ramiz looked really comfortable with the dudes. He looked like he came in and he was ready to go. He looks excited. He looks like he's good. Like, once again, we don't know until the kicks start coming and going, and sometimes they go in waves, this, that, and the other. Like, I don't know. But I'm saying, as far from a personality type that I see, where you see the teammates rally around him in those videos, it seems like a culture fit, like a son of a bitch. And I don't know if you saw the comments that were made by Dan Quinn about McManus.
I saw that they found out May 27th. So they did find out after, which is very important to note. But that's about all I saw. Go ahead, KDot.
His main through line that he was talking about, which is a little problematic to some degree, but I'm not. I can touch on that a little bit. But sure. The through line for me was the big for them was the lack of McManus's communication with them about what was coming. So, like, the once again, top down, philosophically communicate. And Quinn seemed to be offended by the fact that McManus didn't communicate with them. And he even went as far as to say, when you communicate things, you let problems be known, we can find solutions to problems. Which makes me think that, to a certain degree, there might not have been anything they found in the investigation, other than McManus might have known it was coming. And if McManus knew it was coming, even if it wasn't anything that could be proved, which, once again, I don't believe that. But I'm saying, if that is the case, I don't think they waited to see anything else. This motherfucker did not communicate the way he's supposed to. He's not a part of what we're building here.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, well said. And I think it also probably just, holding on to that line from Dan Quinn about, if you communicate problems to us, we could potentially find solutions. There may not have been a solution in this situation. Right. The solution actually may have been signing somebody else. But maybe for other situations, I think that was a smart line to put in there for future signings, for people that are currently already here. Hey, now's the time to let us know about anything and everything so that we are all focused on football and making sure that we have one goal in mind, and that is being the best we can be. And let's see if that could even take us to a Super Bowl years down the line, wherever it may be. But that seems to be what that was about, in my opinion, over there, KDot.
No, I agree with that. Look, once again, I can mince his words and find some a little bit of problems in some of it. But if I'm looking at it just from a standpoint of, and you should never look at a situation like that just from a standpoint of a fan of a football team or what is in the best interest of a football team. But as a fan, I appreciate that he's making that sort of paramount to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. And look, there's no love lost with cutting him, because if you cut him, he gets to go do that shit, and we ain't got to fucking worry about that. And hopefully justice gets carried out the way it needs to, but we ain't got to be a fucking part of that.
Right. Well said. Any final thoughts before we move on to the comment mailbag?
Nah.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So we have, I think, a rockin' 20 comments. And so we really appreciate you guys listening to the last episode, which once again, and I need to start doing this ahead of time. The last episode was about the Dallas Cowboys, so that you have the reference when we're talking about all the various comments. So that focused once again on the Dallas Cowboys and what is going on in Dallas, and it's clearly nothing good. So we go ahead and begin with Allison Lombard, now on fire, commenting on every single video. Thoroughly appreciate it, with 3. So we will quickly run through those. Allison begins with, as an Eagles fan, I love dunking on the Cowboys. Appreciate your passion. That's comment number 1. Thoroughly appreciate that. That is also true. We are going to be doing episodes on Philly and the Giants as well. The second comment, I absolutely see Louvu and Davis, Frankie Louvu, Jayden Davis, getting most of their reps on the edge. Fits their skill set. Now, if you know our feelings on Jayden Davis, you see his measurables, you've seen him rush the quarterback. We completely agree. We could see him taking more reps on the edge. Frankie Louvu is an interesting one because I've seen him rush before, and again, very tenacious, but he is also, he is just so skilled, and I think a guy that people across the league are going to get to know this season as being able to roam the middle of the field, not just rush. What do you think, KDot?
The Carolina boys are the 2 that I'm most excited about on the defense, and it's Chin and Louvu. And there were also some clips. I wish I knew that comment was coming, because there are a couple clips about Whitt talking about Louvu himself, and they're great. So he's got rave reviews to say about that. Then it also did come out between yesterday and today, something that Jeremy Chin actually took less money to come here than he would have gotten if going to Pittsburgh, because he said, I saw the coaching staff, I saw what they were trying to do. I think this is best for me.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge that a defensive player could have gone to Pittsburgh, right? Steel curtain, all that history over there.
Ridiculous.
With more money.
Ridiculous.
Chose to come here because of coaching.
When has that ever happened?
I just wanted to note that for a moment.
You're right.
It's like, do you know how insane that is?
Yeah.
Like, just wanted to.
It's a fucking moment, bro.
That's crazy.
Moment.
Like, that is genuinely nuts. So just wanted to say.
It's a moment. But I'm telling you right now, if you want, I'm sure everybody that's listening has done this at some point. If you haven't, you should be ashamed, and you need to. Go look at the highlights from those dudes, especially Louvu. He jumps off the screen. It was just like, Carolina just sucked ass, bro. It's just that just. Louvu is a dude that I'm like, if there's a jersey I might have to pull the trigger on this season, might be a Louvu.
Well, I think he's the signing a lot of people are most excited about. I'll be honest, when I saw the film on Louvu, that was the guy I was most excited about. I was like, holy God, this guy's a heat-seeking missile. So you can totally understand where Alice is coming from in terms of him being on the edge at times, because he could be. And we got one more comment from Allison. Forbes was obviously overdrafted, and his coaching was abysmal. He has a role and a skill set, but I seriously question his mental toughness and self-awareness. Why isn't he in the gym? So I have a couple thoughts on that, but KDot, why don't you go ahead and go first as I make sure I articulate them clearly.
Allison, love you, but you sound like an Eagles fan. Just hating. So like, once again, I know that this is not going to be something that most people agree with. I know it's something that you don't agree with me. I don't believe in over or under drafting. It works or it doesn't work. I think there are entirely too many variables. Now I am more hard pressed on positions outside of quarterback to call one a bust or not a bust if it works or doesn't work based on what I'm seeing with your play. But I still look at the Emmanuel Forbes situation. I say what it is they did to him last year and knowing the style of player that he was and the situations that they put him in were atrocious. Now, that is to be said that there are certain players that come along that regardless of the situation you put them in, they're going to shine. But usually those dudes are generational talent. And generational talent can come at any given point in the fucking draft. And usually if you're looking at it in the draft, it's going to be somewhere in the top 5 to top 10. Yeah. He wasn't drafted then. So, like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to – with Forbes, it either works or it doesn't work. That's all I can grade it on.
So, KDot, quick exercise here. Our defense last season. Can you name me the best player on it in terms of play?
In terms of play?
Yeah. Not talent, just in terms of play.
Montez Sweat.
Okay. Anybody else that stuck around?
I'm probably going to go Payne over Allen overall for the season.
And how'd he do?
Not great.
Exactly. So no one did well. So when we immediately talk about Emmanuel Forbes, I think he's easy to pick on because he was the first round pick. And so you go, oh, okay, well, his fault, right? Or he's part of the problem. I don't know that we can say that. The defense was so bad last season. There were so many busted coverages. There were so many miscommunications. We've talked about just the night and day. Why are the vibes so high right now? Because they're communicating. You could tell. When we talk about Joe Whitt, for example, they are communicating. Dan Quinn, they are communicating. Adam Peters, they are communicating. This is what you're hearing. That is not at all what we got last season. So I don't know that he was overdrafted. Right. I don't know how good or bad he can be. What I do know is his confidence was shattered. You could tell. Anybody with eyes can tell. Anybody with ears can tell just from the way that the interactions have gone. It is this coaching staff's job to make sure they bring it back. We will then figure out whether he was over or under drafted if you believe in that. And if you don't, it either works or it doesn't, to KDot's point. So I want to say that. That's one. Two, why isn't he in the gym? He is absolutely in the gym. And this is a point to HTTR Redskins, who drops this in reply. There are body types where it's essentially impossible to put on mass unless he eats a bunch of junk, which will lead to bad weight. I agree and disagree to an extent. It is going to be difficult for some people to put on weight in specific areas of their body, but rest assured, a professional football player is definitely in the gym, and I'm sure he's working on it or whatever he needs to work on to be able to do it. If he can tackle, if he can be able to deflect passes, if he can pick a ball off and his legs look at, I don't give a fuck. That's just where I'm at. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Allison replies, even muscle mass in his legs. Let me tell you, as somebody who doesn't have like that, even muscle mass in your legs. I've put on some muscle in other parts, arms were much easier for me because I never went to the gym for the longest time, by the way. That was much easier, but the legs, no, it is tougher. So it does depend on your body as well, but trust me, he's in there, and I expect him to be able to have a good second half of season. I've maintained that for some time. KDot, any final thoughts?
Anyone making fun of Forbes, because look, the photo was funny, objectively funny.
Yeah.
But to think that has any impact on whether or not he can be a true defensive playmaker is asinine.
Yeah. And just to be fair to Allison,
that's not attacking Allison.
Right.
Not attacking Allison.
Yeah. But just on the subject of Forbes, skinny legs, the overdrafted bit, again, when we quickly go through who was the best defender on the Commanders last season, fucking no one is honestly my answer to that. It was impossible for anybody to do well. That was the worst defense I've ever seen in my lifetime, honestly. So I can't say, does Daron Payne suck? Does Jonathan Allen suck? Like, I don't think so. I think it was bad coaching. So let's find out this year.
Yeah, Allison, don't throw batteries at people. Just keep that Philly energy.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And that episode's coming. We go over to HTTR Redskins with a couple comments over here. Beginning with the two stories are the draft and Trey Lance. Again, this is in reference to the Cowboys. They had a good draft and are doing a rebuild of that offensive line. It also came out recently that Zach Martin may be playing his final season. He is contemplating retirement at the end of this season as well. We will see. Trey Lance is 6 months older than Jayden Daniels with 3 years of NFL experience. They will hire either Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson. This is if Mike McCarthy does ultimately get, I don't even know if canned is the term, if his contract just expires, but their short-term prognosis isn't great, but their 3 to 5 year is great, which KDot had alluded to in the After the Pod last episode. They are now aware Dak is the problem. I agree with most of that comment, right? That their 3 to 5 year window, I don't know if it's great just because of who's in charge, but they do have options and they do have flexibility to be able to make it great. What do you think, KDot?
That's the so it's, I said after the pod that I think Jerry already fucked this up. I think if you have a perennial 12-win team that at least on surface level look like they truly are just a few pieces in coaching away from taking the next step, and you haven't been able to isolate and do that at all. I can pinpoint exactly even going into the season where their flaw was, and then it came to bite him in the ass at the end of the season. The only thing you can do at this point is if you know you're going to shit can everybody involved, to have a talent evaluation season and to allow for as much flexibility as humanly possible for the next regime to take control. That's it.
Yeah, completely agree. And HTTR Redskins also says Cowboys are not sweeping the Commanders. Commanders might only win 2 games, but one will be against the Cowboys. So I think we have had seasons in the past where we've been 2-14 or 1-15, and we have actually taken a win off of Dallas. Feels like one of those times for HTTR over there. We got a quick reply saying, so you have the Commanders only winning 2 games for the season, or 2 games both Cowboys and Commanders play each other. So Wilson Santiago going, wait. We're going to win a game against the Cowboys. If we only win 2 this season, one of them is going to be against them. It's possible. It's possible. Again, the vibes right now in Dallas are horrible. I don't know that they could actually be worse. Every single day, there's a new story about the uncertainty over there. It's got to be exhausting to have to answer all those questions if you're Mike McCarthy over and over and over again. That's tough. So We'll see what happens. We go over to Ridge, wear your helmet at. Shout out. Been a while since he's commented. This episode saved my life. And that is, of course, in reference to there being no NHL finals or no NBA finals happening for quite some time. The man recently changed jobs, moved cities, and it basically just needed something to do. So you're welcome. Glad we were able to fill some time for you, bud, and hope you're doing well. Any thoughts on the Ridge, wear your helmet at comment? I think we did save some lives, KDot.
I'm glad we saved his life. I'm also glad if he's bored, it means the co-eds are safe.
That's a excellent point there. We go over to Hermit Rob, 5481. Shout out Hermit Rob. With all the coaches and players they lost, especially the coaches, if they come out of the gate and shit the bed, yes, doubt will infect that locker room, Cowboys locker room, like a dick at a crabs convention. I could see the wheels coming completely off. They're in a precarious spot with a stubborn owner and GM. That's the part that I think is particularly interesting. That team will never win a Super Bowl until Jerry passes away. KDot, your reaction to that comment?
Dick's at a crap.
Lot there.
Great comment. I loved it.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think it's awesome.
Nice and done. Call me off guard. Love it.
All right. If we go over to, oh man, this is a tough one. I think it's just Mohammed Iqbal. Mohammed Iqbal with the comment saying, keep it up, district divided. Thoroughly appreciate the comment there. Nice, easy, to the point. We will choose to keep it up.
No, as long as Joe Whitt keeps talking, it'll.
I was going to say, I was wondering if you were going to go, we'll keep it up. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. It's all a smokescreen. Jerry Jones says he's all in. He does nothing of note in the offseason roster-wise. He does hire Mike Zimmer for a 1-year contract. He's setting high expectations while hamstringing his coach. McCarthy will get fired. Zimmer becomes interim. And then at the end of the season, Jerry gets to hire a new coach thinking he smells like roses. Expect a bad season from Dallas. So Big Papa Grizzly agrees. Vibes are not good. Jerry setting up the current group to fail so that he can do what he wants to after the fact. KDot, your reaction?
I'd say it's less of a smokescreen and more of a neon sign as far as what it is he's doing.
That's true. I mean, if you do listen to a lot of the national media, they see the neon sign to KDot's point of like, the fuck is happening?
Like it'll either be that here's what Jerry has just done. Jerry has set, as he always does, because the ego is just dripping off some bitch. He has set an expectation so high that either he looks like a genius that he motivated his guys to actually compete and do something, or he's doing what he really wants to do, which is just set them up to fail. So, like, either way, it's a win-win for him in a situation in which he's never going to get rid of the team, and the only success is a Super Bowl or lining his pocket. So,
yeah. But to your point on the neon sign, like, it took, when we were doing the Commander Ceiling episode, it only took me about 2 minutes of searches to go, oh, Dallas is in huge trouble. And then, I don't know if this happened, you buy a new, like, shirt or some shoes or like a car, whatever it may be, and then you notice everybody else is wearing the same thing or like, has the car. The number of takes I have now noticed since our Dallas episode where I'm like, oh, yeah, they are saying exactly what we said is like crazy. Like everyone knows they are in huge trouble. So
there's no other way to read it. Yeah, how can you say you're going all in? And I deleted the clip, but I right now, if I could, I'd replay the free agent signings. Like, it's just, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, Eric Kendrick, like Royce Freeman and Zeke, who, by the way, again, there are 2 cap hits for Zeke this season for the Cowboys. Anyway, we go to Miami's own 305 shout out Big Papa Grizzly for that comment. I'm seeing a 7-10 season from the boys, which is, of course, going to arrive well under their 10.5 win total that FanDuel currently has. Again, FanDuel expects, like, quite clearly an under 10.5 win season for the Cowboys, leaving on the surface the Eagles to be able to run away with this division. But we'll see what they look like. We'll see what the Giants look like. We'll see what we look like. But as of right now, just based on looking at Dallas, looks like the Eagles have the runaway, or at least are in pole position. But the NFL is a pretty crazy league. We'll see what happens there. Any thoughts, KDot? 7-10 season for the boys.
I want them to win 14 games.
So that they can come crashing down in the playoffs. So they would have to run this back, maybe.
That's what I want to see. I want to see them hit. I want to see them get just past that 12-point mark, that 12-win mark. I want to see them in an NFC Championship game and just blow it.
You want to see the definition of insanity.
I need chaos. I need the Jerry has go all in with his neon signs and now doesn't know what to do or how to sell what the next step is. If Dak throws for 45 touchdowns and 5 picks and they're in an NFC Championship game, can you say I'm not going to sign him?
It must be, I was going to say, it must be said low key that their best season might be your ceiling for the Commanders, like from our perspective, which is they win a bunch and they lose in the divisional round. But, it's a close loss and the offense actually played well. They're like, oh, see, they just needed the wake up call. They all get signed back and they are stuck in this cycle forever. That would actually be incredible.
It's kind of the inverse of what I was saying with the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni, which I think that it's basically he's got to make it to the Super Bowl. Otherwise, his ass is gone. I need McCarthy to make it to around the NFC Championship game, and then it becomes a fuck. I need to know that Jerry's in his booth. God damn it!
Yeah, the pan overs to Jerry. I would love to see what happens over there. Let's go over to. Let's go to Vindo, just because this is more Dallas-centric, and then we got a couple outside of the Dallas realm. So shout out Vindo. Yeah, the morale in Dallas is low, especially CD. I feel bad for bro, but it's Dallas, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm all for it. I think we can sweep them. We got the Slim Reaper in Jayden Daniels. I'd imagine they'll give Trey Lance a chance instead of paying for Dak. I can see him walking to the AFC team like the Raiders or something. So Dak to the Raiders potentially. Now, that is a team that has KDot's number 1 quarterback we needed to land this offseason in Gardner Minshew. Could you see Dak Prescott going to the Raiders at the end of this season?
No doubt. I see. I could totally see an Antonio Pierce one to be like, Dak's an upgrade over anything we got. And but I mean, is it enough? I don't know. Like, my true thoughts on Dak will never be known until he's out of a Cowboy uniform.
Here's the thing.
As of right now, fuck him.
As of right now, fuck him. The 2 places I could see, I don't believe in Bo Nix. I've already said that many, many times. If this doesn't work out, Sean Payton gets desperate. yet another big signing could be Denver. But I don't know that Dak wants to go to the AFC West because Mahomes is over there. I could see the New York Giants being a landing spot, depending on how that season goes for them. And I think that would be interesting. I think it would be very interesting because then he gets to stick it to Jerry twice. But who knows?
I think New York media would make that an untenable situation before.
That's also a very good point. Well, depending on how the season goes. We go to Vindo again. Jerry can't get out of his own way. That's what makes the head coaching job so unattractive because you're always going to have Jerry doing Jerry things. Absolutely no chance, Bill Belichick, because he needs complete control. And I don't think Jerry's ego will let up. I agree with the Mike Vrabel take. So Vrabel being probably the better option between Belichick and Vrabel. Oh, well, no, actually, hang on. We were talking about Vrabel maybe in the Philly context with Sirianni, although he could also be in Dallas. I think Vrabel would be in play for both spots.
We talked about Vrabel going to Dallas. Ben Johnson.
Okay, yeah.
Ben Johnson's your top pick for Philly, and I think that's accurate. It proved my Ben Johnson hasn't hurt his stock.
Yes, yeah. As we concluded with the last episode over there. And speaking of Vindo, with his final comment here, yeah, Ben Johnson honestly would fit right in with Dallas. I would love to see that train wreck happen. So again, I think just from the perspective of Jerry doing Jerry things and Howie being as aggressive as he is, right? Always trying to find that little extra advantage and always winning the draft, which actually Nick Wright over on Fox, I think had a really good point. Whenever we talk about Howie Roseman winning the draft, he's like, is it not as simple as he takes people as steals, quote unquote, just because they were supposed to be drafted pick 12 and he gets them at pick 25, let's say, and then he just wins. He's like, it seems overly simplistic. It was an interesting sort of conversation because you look at what he's done historically and it's exactly that. It's just, it seems like surplus value over and over and over. And so therefore he wins. But anyway, KDot, what do you think?
So much to say. I'll start at your last point first and then roll backward.
Sure.
What Howie Roseman does is the same thing that happens if you've ever done a fantasy draft if someone doesn't show up and Yahoo or ESPN drafts for them. And at the end of it's like, they got a great team. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah.
You don't deserve that team, you piece of shit. Like, you just, like, oh, what did he do? He just looked at the top of the board and drafted the guy that was there. Like,
that's it.
Yeah, it is truly that simple. We all overthink it. But the other point that we know for a fact now, Bill Belichick is not saying he needs full control. That was something in the Atlanta job that was not, that he relinquished any of that shit. He just wants to coach. The reason I think Ben Johnson works for Dallas is because it spits in the face of everything that he said in that shitty press conference about wanting to have say and this, that, and the other to go work for Jerry. And it also works because he's a pussy ass bitch. And it would work in the sense of, oh, well, no one will really blame me if it all goes bad because Jerry's there.
Oh my gosh. It would be. Yeah, actually, Ben Johnson in Dallas would be something. Maybe we could talk a little more about that.
You don't want to be the offensive-minded coach in Dallas, but you want to be as an offense coordinator for an offensive-minded coach in Dallas. That's the key job.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Jason Garrett gig. The
Kellen Moore for a little bit.
Kellen Moore gig. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
Because you're Jerry's boy.
Jerry's boy, man. And then we go over to Just Your Average Fly Guy. Shout out. And with a couple, one on YouTube and then one they actually, Just Your Average Fly Guy followed on Twitter and asked a question there. So we will go over there for just a moment. But beginning with the YouTube comment, I hope and pray that y'all are right. And the Cowgirls are 9-8, and we beat them in their house in week 18 and eliminate them from the playoffs. And the win puts us in the playoffs. Then they crumble, and we end up owning the NFC East for the next decade and win a minimum of 3 Super Bowls. Raise hail. Oh, that would be awesome. Could you imagine 3 Super Bowls in the next decade, KDot? How cool would that be? Holy shit.
That part would be dope. I'm just saying, you guys need to think less about ourselves when it comes to the Cowboys. If you hate them, you want the worst possible scenario. And I'll tell you right now, we haven't had it here much. But the later you lose in the playoffs, the harder it hurts. You had to watch that team even further. I want maximum pain. Not that I need to inflict the pain. I just want them to feel maximum pain. Strip your ego from it, guys.
Just like Joe Whitt would do. We go now to the Twitter question. It's a hashtag mailbag question here, and appreciate it. Just your average fly guy here. Who has a better year and why? Here are your options, KDot. Jamin Davis, Emmanuel Forbes, Johnny Newton, Mike Sanderstill, Jeremy Chin.
I think collectively people will say Davis, but I low-key think it'll be Sanderstill. I think Sanderstill will be somebody who jumps off when we look at PFF at the end of the year. And as long as the PFF grade isn't giving the offensive line a higher grade than the fan base wants, we'll listen to it and be like, yo, Mike is the dude, right? I think Mike's impact will be known outside of the numbers more than on the numbers. But I think that depending on what the defense does, Davis's sack numbers could look crazy compared to what they have been.
Yeah.
And that to me would be like, it jumps off the page.
So out of these options, I would immediately rule out Johnny Newton just because he's recovering from injury. He's a rookie. He'll get rotational playing time once he's ready.
Right.
We don't know when that will be. We don't know when he'll be 100%. Now, it's got to be said that at Illinois, he produced with that injury anyway, which is crazy. And he never came off the field despite the injury. I believe it was Liz Frank, if I remember correctly. So he's tough. He's a tough son of a bitch, but this is the NFL. It's going to be different. I will say this. If the answer is Emmanuel Forbes, this defense is going to be spectacular because that would, if they are getting the best out of Emmanuel Forbes after the season he had last season and they're able to raise his confidence, I'm imagining what that means for everybody else around him and their confidence. And this defense would be frightening. So I'm hoping the answer is Emmanuel Forbes. I would go Jamin Davis, but I would hope that the answer is Emmanuel Forbes because not only for what it means for him, but everybody else around him, I think would be incredible. So that's how I answered that question. And then we go over to the part of the podcast where we praise the fuck out of KDot, going to Blood Clot. This was the best share this shit from KDot all time. I think you need some District Divided t-shirt merch. And so I don't know if you saw that comment, KDot, but KDot has sent me some t-shirt designs. And so that is a potential possibility moving forward. But Blood Clot, completely agree. When you went, share this, like the little this, I literally lost it. You couldn't see me off screen just because you're sharing it, but it was so funny, so well done. You crushed it.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I still think I'm going to relent to MCDD because at least he had a good message in there for people too. And, keeping things a buck, we need to worry. We need to make sure we're taking care of people. Sharing is caring. You need to make sure the caring part is in there. The t-shirt thing, I'm super stoked. My creative juices have been flowing this week. That sounds disgusting. We had
a lot of those jokes today.
It just it didn't feel right saying it. it felt extra wet.
Man. It's just this, man. I wish
at
that
least
was
I didn't say
comment.
moist, but now I said moist. But I'm really excited or hopeful that you guys would want to buy merch, but we're about to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark.
There.
I think the idea of giving some of you guys access to like a limited run of some stuff, so we know that and we know that you're our day ones. So when we do blow up,
especially those
we got that limited stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'd love that. I'd love that, and I think you guys will be seeing something soon.
Okay, well there you go. Stay tuned, guys, and again, thoroughly appreciate you guys for listening. But we do have one more comment. This comes from Pally for Life. Amazing podcast. The visuals and production continue to wow. And once again, that's going to be KDot, 100% KDot. Couple quick notes. A-Train, we have to briefly revisit the golf challenge. Please describe your best shot and your opponent's worst in detail. I admit to banging. I actually burst out laughing when you admitted to banging on a random person's door. Rest in peace, Yoni's neighbors. The second note, KDot's ability to deliver share this shit in a unique way every episode never disappoints, which is true. Third note, we're going to need a weekly parlay once the season kicks off. I was thinking you each contribute a leg and source one from the comments. That would be pretty fucking cool, actually, if we did a 3-leg parlay and we pick one leg that somebody in the comments produces, and then the random question, which I think we'll take to after the pod, top 5 jerseys to own from the Snyder era, Monsieur X. Okay. So to
no Jess Santo? Did we scare Jess Santo off?
No, we wouldn't have done that. They're probably busy.
Okay.
Hey, Jess, I have the water ready. You just let me know. Okay. I will say this. So we have to briefly revisit the golf challenge. Please describe your best shot and your opponent's worst in detail. My best shot, very simple. The tee shot on 1. Just proving I could hit the ball, because the condition I was in, I think Matt was probably like, oh man, this is going to be an absolute cakewalk. And when I hit that, and did it slice 50 yards? Who's to say? But did it stay in play? Oh yeah. And did it stay in play after that? Oh yeah. So I think just the statement of intent with that very first drive, letting him know, hey, I may still have a BAC of Lord knows what, but I can still whoop your ass, I think was very important. Set the tone. His worst shot. He had a 3-wood on a hole 5 over at Rock Creek, and he sent that 7 yards to the left out of bounds. So hit off the hosel there. And then that third shot was also a disaster. So I think him looking, getting his stance ready, getting ready to absolutely send that thing, only for it to go further yardage than a first down would be in the NFL, was probably his worst shot. That's what I would say to that. Any final thoughts, KDot?
Knowing what was going on that day that you were playing, knowing that you just made all of that up, I just think it's only fair.
Share this. Share it. Share the gospel of District Divided. KDot is telling you to share this and just say no to drugs, unlike the A-Train.
You know what? Shout out MCDD for a perfectly well executed message. This was the common mailbag, and this was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I am Amit. That is KDot. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And KDot,
share. Oh, the button's not working. See, I'm saying MCDD just does a better job. Shit! We got share!
There it is. There it is.
This shit! Share it! Son of a bitch! Now get off the screen!
Yeah, it was stuck. Yeah. Anyway, we thoroughly appreciate you guys. Now, there was one more question for Pally for Life in there, which is the top 5 jerseys to own from the Snyder era. And so that's where we will take our After the Pod, which begins right now. All right. Top 5 jerseys of the Snyder era to own. I think that'll take us to our hard stop as well. Any springing to mind for you? I've got one that springs to mind for me. Well, actually, almost 3 that spring to mind for me.
So it has to be players that existed within the Snyder era, because I would always just go for a throwback. I think this some are just easy. Put them in the Hall of Fame, slam dunks.
Go ahead.
Sean Taylor.
Yep.
Easy peasy. I own my favorite jersey that we've ever had, which was the 75th anniversary throwbacks, the ones with more of the gold or the yellow.
Yeah,
Chris
I know
Cooley,
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
My Chris Cooley throwback is
cool.
immaculate.
Nice.
Is immaculate. And Cooley's a dude that outside of some little things after his career, does anybody have any bad things to say about fucking Chris Cooley? No. Come on, no. So nope. I think those two to me are damn near impeachable. I think beyond that, I think you get into conversations about who ranks higher for you. Right. RG3 was hot for that year.
He's not in my top 5.
He's not in top 5. I'm probably London Fletcher. You can't go wrong.
He was the second name that sprung to mind for me after Sean.
Santana.
Yep, he's on my list.
And I'd probably say here. So I know what mine would be, but I know this wasn't a jersey that was found too easily, and I don't know why I don't have one yet.
Here it comes.
Mike Sellers.
Mike Sellers. Yep, I knew it. I knew that was absolutely going to be one. Love Mike Sellers. I think that's a good one. Let's see. The ones that came to mind for me, So London Fletcher, Sean Taylor, Santana Moss were the 3 very quick and easy ones.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Chris Cooley, I think, is an excellent shout. He'd probably be on my list, which would only leave one more. And you can get creative with this one. I mean, it could be as simple as Clinton Portis, right? Who that trade, I remember being against it at first because I love Champ Bailey. I wanted to be able to sign him. We did Champ and a second rounder for Clinton Portis, which in today's day and age, given what we know about positional value and stuff like that, would just never happen. But at the time, it still ended up being a good trade because Portis was awesome over here. So that needs to be said. Well, the Champ was phenomenal in Denver too. Fucking hell. And they got what was that guy's name? With the second round pick. It ended up being Portis's replacement. Last name was a T. Anyway, I can't remember, but he was
not Tatum Bell.
It may have been Tatum Bell. Maybe it was maybe his first name was T. Yeah, maybe. I would need to double check that. A dark horse candidate. Just as a reminder of how fucking terrible it was with Yatbich in charge. So I got in charge. Albert Hainsworth. Just as a reminder of how fucking terrible it was. That guy got $100 million to do absolutely nothing. So if you want to go the deeply sarcastic, thank God he's gone route, you can do that. I wouldn't.
You can't.
But there are some cynical fans that would.
No, you can't be that cynical. It doesn't work. Like if Hainsworth's name doesn't immediately just invoke rage, if I had to look at a Hainsworth jersey in a closet, I'd burn my house down.
I think it's a reasonable reaction also.
I think that's a reasonable reaction for all fans. I just don't know how you could live through life if you're that cynical. Like I just don't know how you
just rage. I can't even do it cynically.
All right.
All right. So we've got Sean for sure, London, Tana. Maybe it's just Cooley Portis.
If I had to do a deep cut, it's a toss up between 2 guys.
Okay.
Either John Jansen or Chris Samuels.
Those are good shouts.
I would love a Chris Samuels jersey. I would actually. I think that would be dope as shit. And I think that like a Chris Samuels jersey is you wear that and walk around. It's like a nod to your OG, my age bracket Commanders fans. Like it's an understanding. Like we know, we got it.
Yeah.
I love that one as far as just a that I will tell you to me the coolest jersey at any given point in time up until it all went sour was a LeVar Aronson. To see somebody wearing the 56 was just a beast. I just loved seeing that jersey around.
Man, I fucking forgot about how electric LeVar was. Like, yeah, he was that dude. Every time we were on national TV, we were probably going to lose, but LeVar was going to get his.
He was absolutely going to fucking get it. I mean, I still love LeVar mostly. Yeah, I love LeVar.
Isn't that nuts that we took those two back to back?
Yeah.
Right? Cleveland takes Courtney Brown. We take LeVar and Chris Samuels back to back. Were they both Penn State? I know LeVar was. No.
I don't
Chris
think
Samuels.
Chris Samuels was like Alabama.
Was he Alabama? Yeah, I'm checking now. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, they can't both have been Penn State. That'd be nuts. I think Alabama's correct. Yeah, Chris Samuels, Alabama. Apologies there. But yeah, to get those two back to back, I mean, talk about home run picks. LeVar maybe less so. Chris for sure.
LeVar was a home run pick. They just ruined it. And LeVar had too much ego at certain points. But
of course, I mean that comes with just being a elite defensive player. I mean,
but that's I still look at LeVar and I look at it and I can still go. But the only thing is, it's hard finding good LeVar highlights. Although I just remember him always just leaping off the screen because he played undisciplined. But it was like if you had the right defensive coordinator for him. I know this is going to sound hyperbolic, but there are points in time, like I don't think he was as good as this guy, but seeing him wearing the 56 and then knowing how I feel about Lawrence Taylor, and knowing what kind of dominant guy he was, and LeVar will forever be in my heart for what he did to Troy.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say, so there's also that aspect and mirroring of it as well. You got Taylor with Theismann, you got LeVar with Troy. I mean,
the best video ever is Troy on the sidelines when they go and tap him and he looks up You can tell it's like it's over. Like it's done. He's just, if you can look at the clip, you'll know exactly. He looks up and he looks annoyed and lost at the same time, and it's amazing.
This top 5 question is much harder than I even gave it credit for. I knew it'd be difficult, but like
I'm good with mine.
So name yours again.
So in no particular order,
right?
Sean Taylor, London Fletcher,
yep,
Chris Cooley.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna do Santana Moss.
Yep, Tana's definitely in mine. Yeah,
and I'm gonna do Mike Sellers. That's my 5.
Okay. I'm gonna finalize my 5 here because we're up against the hard stop, but definitely Sean. Definitely Sean Taylor. London Fletcher. Absolutely. We sign him. We don't know how much he's got left in the tank. We don't know how many years. And he exceeded expectations in every single possible way. Like, he was incredible. Santana Moss, that trade for Lavernius Coles just being the like for like, but we get the much better end of it. Like, Tana, Cowboy Killer, we had the Monday Night Miracle. I mean, yeah, that first year with us was ridiculous. So you gotta have Tana in there. Those 3. Give me LeVar. I like LeVar in there. And then see, so that's Sean, that's London, that's LeVar. Sean, London, LeVar, Tana, and then who'd I say 5th? I literally just said the person I thought, or maybe I didn't.
Say it again. Let's see him.
So yeah, clearly. So I'm still recovering from a cold, in case people didn't notice that. So my brain is still a little foggy. So apologies. But I had said Sean Taylor, London Fletcher. I had said, I said LeVar 4th. I said Santana Moss, and I said LeVar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that 4 or 5? That's 4.
That's 4.
Right.
That's 4. The 5th one. Fuck. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think. See, I say Cooley, but then I think Portis. Give me. God damn it. Good question, Pally for life. Good question. No, you know what? Give me Chris Samuels over both those guys. I like that. I do really like that. The cornerstone left tackle we had forever. You could always rely on him.
Yeah.
Give me those 5. So LeVar, Chris Samuels, Santana Moss, London Fletcher, Sean Taylor. I'm very happy with that list. That's my list.
That's a good list. I would say that if I see anyone out there in the streets and I do see him wearing a LaRon Landry, Albert Haynesworth, or Deion Sanders jersey, I lose respect.
I think that's fair. I already regret saying the Albert Haynesworth thing, even in the cynical nature.
It doesn't work.
As soon as I thought about it even more, I was like, and you said you'd burn your house down. I was like, you are absolutely right.
Because
it wasn't even like nothing changed in my heart either. It wasn't like, oh, that's funny. I was like, no, that's a real reaction. And I think that's fair. I think that's in play.
It just doesn't work.
God damn it. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We will see you guys next week, Friday, 2 p.m. Episode title and everything TBD, but you'll know it. Be good. Till then, take it easy.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.